Yes, I do think we'll get back to triple digits again. It's a matter of time, and a reasonable chance it'll happen before the end of this year, in my opinion. So we saw obviously very dramatic move. We've been waiting for this for a long time, predicting it, believing in it. The silver deficit has been running for quite a number of years. All the fundamentals behind the silver price are really strong. None of that's changed. Same with the gold price. I mean, silver follows gold. And so if we just watch what the gold's doing, but silver had lagged gold for so long that finally, when it made its move, that move was so fast and so dramatic, it was incredible. So I mean, we're looking at this with perspective. What is your perspective? So from what time frame are you looking at this silver price? Because if you were just to have somehow gone away and had not had any media contact for the last year, you'd look at the price today and go, wow, what happened? That's fantastic. But instead you saw $120 in January, February, and now it's just under 60. And so it's down 50% from the peak. It looks terrible, but in fact, it's not. Silver miners are making a lot of money at this price. It bodes really well for developers like we've now become with our new PA, and the capital is still available. There's a lot of capital still coming in the sector. So and then the macro backdrop to what's driving the silver price, nothing has changed there. And in fact, it's as strong as it was before the beginning of this year and before the explosive move in silver.
The silver market is undergoing a profound structural shift. Recent price action has unsettled the general investment community. In early 2026, the spot price exploded to an all-time high above $120 per ounce. Today, the metal consolidates below $60. Short-term market participants view this retrenchment as a failure. Commodities insiders recognize it as a standard consolidation after extreme volatility. The daily price on the screen is noise. The physical reality is entirely different. The silver market is currently navigating its sixth consecutive year of a persistent structural supply deficit. Global demand continues to outpace mine production. This imbalance is structural, not cyclical. Much of the market confusion stems from the divergence between paper markets and physical scarcity. Paper derivatives allow institutions to distort near-term pricing through leveraged short positions. However, futures contracts cannot manufacture physical metal. Visible inventories are drawing down globally. The buffer that historically protected commercial consumers is steadily eroding. The core issue remains supply inelasticity. Approximately 70% of global silver is produced strictly as a byproduct of copper, lead, and zinc mining. The primary silver mining sector is remarkably small. Because of this, higher silver prices cannot trigger a sudden supply response. A mining operation cannot simply flip a switch to increase output. The timeline required to advance a new mineral discovery to commercial production averages 10 to 20 years. Higher prices expand producer cash flows, but they do not instantly yield new ounces. Furthermore, global governments are shifting their perspective. Sovereign entities increasingly treat silver as a critical strategic asset rather than a mere industrial commodity. The evidence is clear. The United States has allocated billions toward critical mineral stockpiling. The Russian central bank recently announced official silver purchases alongside gold and platinum. The Saudi central bank acquired an active stake in silver exchange-traded products. Simultaneously, China has tightened export controls to safeguard domestic supply for high-tech manufacturing. As the most efficient electrical conductor on the planet, silver is the lifeblood of the green energy transition, high-tech manufacturing, and artificial intelligence infrastructure. With mine life cycles spanning decades and stagnant production, the imbalance between supply and demand is becoming mathematically inevitable. Historically, the silver market undergoes prolonged periods of quiet accumulation followed by abrupt repricings. In the early 2000s, the metal traded in a restricted band before establishing a significantly higher baseline. A similar reset is occurring now. Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Make sure to check out our other videos on the silver market and drop your comments and observations in the comment section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
Yeah, that's right. Very few primary silver mines. Most silver is produced as a byproduct of something else. So it's in fact driven by a different metal price and dynamic. And you can't just throw a switch and increase the silver supply. It doesn't work that way. It's a huge time frame to go from discovery of a new deposit to producing, and it's 10 to 20 years, depending your jurisdiction on average. So there's no way you can just increase that silver supply. And the increasing silver demand, and then a stagnant silver production really that we have, and that long timeline needed to increase silver production is our set of fundamentals that I believe are going to keep that silver price very strong for quite a while. We've been believers that we're entering, and now we have entered a silver bull market, and we believe it'll be multi-year for many of those types of reasons. And when's the market going to wake up? Well, I think it has. I mean, when you saw silver explode from 40, then 50, and then all of a sudden over $100 earlier this year in a very short time frame, that's the market waking up. And now I think you've got a dynamic where that was probably that move was driven by I don't know what exactly, but it was driven by the investment community, is driven by institutional. It was also driven by some central bank buying as well. So quite a number of factors, but I don't think the general market really entered the silver space yet either. And in terms of particularly speculation. And now when you look at the veteran investors in the mining sector, it's kind of a show me. They've been hit on the head so many times with false silver moves. There's a feeling, is this going to pull all the way back to $30 or something like that? And I don't believe so. You look at previous moves. So you look at the last big silver gold bull market, which started in the early 2000s, around probably arguably 2002, where it really started to lift a little bit. Ran for 10 years approximately. And prior to that, the silver price was trading in a band of around $4.50 to $5.50 for the most part prior to that. During that silver run, it exploded over $50 eventually. And then it settled into a band that was like $20 for a long time, and then 2025. That was the new kind of base, up from 4 to 5, more or less. And so now you're going to see the same thing play out, but we haven't even seen the silver move finish yet. This is just the beginning, in my opinion anyway. This is just the beginning of that silver move. It was the first spike. Now we're getting retrenchment and consolidation of that, and then it'll move again. And then at that point, people will start to realize, hey, the silver price is not coming back down to that 2025 band. It's going to be up here somewhere when it finally does settle down and the fundamentals sort themselves out. That's how we see it. Well, yeah, I don't know about the acceleration part. It's certainly not going to go away. Silver is a very strategic metal. It's the best electric conductor we have, and that's why it's used so extensively, particularly in the solar industry, any electronics that you have, for example. Also, quite a large component of silver consumption in the medical industry. It's a kind of a lesser known use, but very strong antibacterial silver is. So yeah, there was a number of very significant changes through 2025, you pointed out. And the Russian central bank buying, I think that was in the fall. And if you look back, maybe that was the bell that was rung. You always try to see what point in history things cause things to break out, but it's never ever one thing. But when the Russians announced that the central bank was buying silver started to make a move not that long after. And then, of course, these strategic stockpiles, that's silver that's going to be taken off the market and not coming back on. China is restricting exports, controlling that more. Well, they want to keep the silver for their own industrial use at a minimum. And I don't know how much they're storing in bullion, but these things, I don't see these things changing at all. And uh, as for accelerating, well, who knows? I don't know, but the setup is there for a very strong silver market here going forward.
Silver remains the most efficient electrical conductor known. It is vital for solar energy, automotive electronics, and artificial intelligence data centers. While industrial fabricators may thrift usage during price spikes, investment demand for physical bullion is accelerating. While price volatility dominates the headlines, the underlying fundamentals of the silver sector are undergoing a quiet, structural transformation. Let's get back to the rest of the interview.
Like, turn it around. I don't quite view it that way. I think we've entered now a bull market, and I think it has turned around. And I think when you speak of turning it around, you're looking at an interim volatility in the market. So we saw this tremendous spike in late January, early February, over to $120. So that's a real dislocation on what was happening beforehand. So now you have to have some adjustment, and the market has to digest that. So what will it take for the market, they say, come back in and the stock prices start to move again? Well, probably just some time and some confidence built on the long-term price, because when the average investor sees that kind of volatility, not many investors have the stomach to ride that kind of volatility. So now I think it's in a period of where it's show me now. Okay, show me where this silver price is going to settle. Show me where the bottom is, in other words. And once they see the bottom in, and then start to see the consolidation finished and the silver price stabilize and start to rise again, in my opinion, it's just the beginning of this bull market. So, and then at that point, you'll see the market coming back into the silver sector like it was before. But what we're seeing in the investment community and on the institutional side and some of the brokers is that they don't think the thesis for the reasons why you're buying silver a few months ago has changed. Nothing's changed. That's the feedback we get. So I think we're just in a period of consolidation now, smooth that volatility out and give the general investment community just some confidence of that they're not going to step in and have the floor drop out on them, because with that volatility, it really unsettles the average person. Yeah, so Mexico is a big country, very interesting country, and depending where you are, it's a different dynamic. Yeah, at Columba, we're in a very quiet, stable area. No issues there. La Ceguera, similar area there. We haven't had any issues. And then our other two deposits, Promontorio and La Negra, one project that sits in southern Sonora, also in a stable area that at those two projects, which we're not currently working. And our relationships with the locals are very good. We've established long-term access agreements with landowners. In the case of La Ceguera, we own 1,100 hectare ranch over top of the deposit even. And we've got long-term agreements both at Columba and La Ceguera for mining and exploitation to allow that. Very critical whenever we go into a new region is to establish relationships with the local people, local owners, local communities, and that's the only way that you're going to have a smooth running project, of course, naturally. And we've been in Mexico for, like I said, over 20 years. We've got a Mexican staff. They're really, really professional staff, very good, very great at developing these relationships, and really it comes down to mutual respect. So when you're starting out, and so we've been there at Columba for about 6 years now, and at La Ciguera longer. So we've got these relationships are also long term. The drilling at Columba and a resource update. Drill results will be catalysts throughout the year in bunches, and then a resource update after the program. So that'll be big, because at that stage we'll be making a decision if this is big enough now for a PA or if we're going to continue expansion drilling. Then in the case of La Ciguera, well, this drill program is going to be pretty big news, because it sits right in that pit that the deposit sits within, and there's that gap. So the PEA has envisioned mining all this rock in the gap zone and giving it zero silver value. So if there's 10 or 20 million more ounces there, suddenly now that all that rock that you're moving in the PEA is paying. And so it's going to change all those numbers and improve that a lot too. So that's going to be really exciting to do. And that program will be relatively quick. We'll start early fall and get that gap zone drilled. If it's successful, we could have a quick resource update by end of year, and then look at refreshing that PA. So those are two really big catalysts.
The era of cheap silver is drawing to a close. The current retracement is a period of delayed market recognition. Speculative capital has washed out. Institutional allocators are quietly absorbing physical supply. The long-term deficit cannot be suppressed by paper contracts indefinitely. Physical scarcity will eventually dictate the equilibrium. The transition is slow, deliberate, and mathematically inevitable. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for watching, and keep stacking physical silver.